Right, we've got some old polysynths here. This is the kind of polysynth section, I guess. This is a Yamaha CS70. It kind of was the thing they brought out just before the DX7, which just obliterated all analog synths. This is analog. And then this is a what is it? A sequential VS, which is a vector synth from the sort of early 80s. That one is used a lot on loads of kind of film soundtracks, not by me but by famous film composers. That you can kind of tell you've heard that sound before somewhere. This is Moog, Polymoog, which is Moog's first attempt at a polyphonic keyboard. Loads of people don't like them because they think they sound thin, you know, because Moogs are meant to sound fat, but it's kind of still quite an interesting synth, and I love it actually. And these are its poly pedals which go with it, which are kind of just controller pedals for the keyboard. Then under here we've got a sequential Prophet T8, which is like a Prophet 5, but it's an 8-voice version with a wooden keyboard, and that does sound fat actually. That's very fat, that one. And it's got a little matching drum machine there, which is a bit crap actually. So and then we're moving on to this thing, which is actually really rare. It's like it's an EMS polysynth. And I think they only made about 30 of them, and there's only a few kind of left really. The great thing about this one, it's got a built-in delay line that you can kind of control voltage, control from other parameters, so it's pretty wacky actually. It's like this is their VCS3, which was a monosynth sort of modular thing that you can just get crazy sort of Doctor Who things on. Well, this is like a polyphonic version of it, I guess, a bit, but it's not quite as flexible as this thing. It doesn't do Dalek voices, this does. Then we got a PPG Wave, which is a very early kind of wave form based synthesis idea, and it also samples kind of a bit, but not that well really. This is its brain. It takes really big discs and basically looks like a microwave oven really. Then we got over here is a Fender Rhodes. This is the big one they made, which sounds great, but it doesn't make a sound unless you plug it in, like everything else here actually. This is a Oberheim 4-voice, another very warm sounding, fat sounding thing. From mid-70s, that one is from America. I'm going to continue over here. Is a Yamaha CS80. This came out before the CS70 that I had, and this is amazing 8-voice polysynth from hell, basically. Okay, right. Well, this is the kind of modular wall, as I call it. Got an old German kind of homemade system here that I didn't actually make myself, because it was made in about 1979 or something. This is good. This is a really early Surge system from probably 74 or something like that, from California, and it's just mad the way that he kind of created all the modules, because no one module does one thing. It kind of, you have to patch them in different ways to get them to do different functions. So one module might be like an envelope, or also if you patch it differently, an oscillator or a filter even you can do in just one module. So it saves on having lots of different modules, but it also, you think about patching in a completely different way when you're using that, to using something like the Moog system, which is just like massive sounding really, and yes, it does sound better than the virtual one. What we got? This is a Kyma. It's an Italian monosynth with a really crude polyphonic section. It's quite nice, big chunky knobs. And we got an ARP 2600, just a really nice big sounding monosynth that you can patch with your little mini jack patch cords. And the nice thing about these systems is you can patch them all in with each other and get some really mad sort of things going on. And I've got a little sequencing section with some old drum machines and very early MIDI sequencer there, and this is a way of going from the Roland drum machines into control voltage for the rest of the modules. And then this is a Oberheim expander, which is a 6-voice polysynth, really amazing analog synth from the early 80s, that one is. Then we've got some little monosynths here, Mini Moog, Harp Odyssey and a Roland SH1. Just nice for messing around on, and if you've got a couple of other people in the band you're in or in the room, they can kind of all take one themselves and you can have a jam. Then we've got a Fairlight CMI 2X from 1982, which was their first kind of proper product they made, really. They did make a 1X, but they weren't very reliable and they weren't very popular either because they were so expensive. But this system was probably about 30 grand when it came out, but you can get them for about 30p on eBay sometimes. And that's its brain there, which is kind of another big floppy disk type thing. These are plastic, by the way. Right, so we've got a Korg Trident, another polysynth, early 80s, and it's got a nice kind of string section, a brass section, and a really good just normal synthesizer section. We've got a DX5, which is basically a DX7 but a stereo version of it. A really cheesy Logan string melody, which just sounds like horror films, really. And that's really shit, that one. So right, that's it. Yeah. Oh no, it's not. We've got a Synclavier here. Yeah, this is a Synclavier from the mid 80s. Again, this was used on lots of film soundtracks, and I think George Lucas has got about 12 of them or something, apparently. Don't know why, but anyway, it's really good. It's like a sampler and a FM synth and a general digital synth monster, and it's really got a fantastic interface where you just select a different parameters and just change its values here with this knob. It's really intuitive to use. Don't know why that sort of thing isn't used more often these days, really. And I'm just running it here on a laptop, basically the operating system for it. So yeah.
Was that easy to hook up on a piece of
modern
gear?
No, actually it wasn't, because you need to get a little USB to whatever that thing's called.
5-pin DIN, is it?
Yeah, which was quite difficult to find, actually. But yeah, I mean, they always used Apple as their front end, basically. I'm a bit of an Apple fan, really, I guess. In fact, I've got a really old Macintosh SE there from, I guess that's sort of late 80s or something, but I've had pretty much every model they've ever made, I guess. Should have them all somewhere, upstairs or something. And then this thing's good. This is a system called Kyma, which is another computer digital system, which is basically got a kind of box down there with the brains in it, and you just run it on a Mac, and you can do completely mad sort of, well, anything on it, really. It's kind of the best synthesizer ever made, I guess. So it's basically like this is a controller for Kyma,
Ah, right.
And I've set up a really simple thing which just pitch shifts and time stretches the loop. It's not a very good loop, but so that's just time stretching it really.
Right.
And it's got frequency as well. So that's a really simple little program that you can do on it, but you can create these, you can select modules and sort of connect them all together and just do some totally mad things with it, obviously.